Now, we are going to move on to dependent events. So in dependent events, the outcome of one event affects the outcome of the second event. So we're still going to have two events. We're going to have the first event, but then the second event is really going to depend on the first event. So for an equation for finding the probability of dependent events, we're still going to have the probability of A and B, and then it's going to equal the probability of A, just the same, the probability of the first outcome, and then it's going to be multiplied by the probability of B following A. So that's the part where the second event depends on the first event. So in our example, we have 4 blueberry, which we'll say as B. We have 6 raisin, we'll say as R, and 2 plain bagels, we'll say plain as P. So we have 4 blueberry, 6 raisin, and 2 plain bagels. We are randomly selecting 2 bagels without replacing the first. So since we aren't replacing the first one, that means that the outcome of the first event affects the outcome of the second event, because we're picking a bagel and then we're going to have one less bagel, so our second probability is going to be a little different. So we need to find the probability of choosing a raisin bagel and then a plain bagel. So what is our first event going to be? Right, finding the probability of a raisin bagel. First, we're choosing a raisin bagel. So we need to think about the total number of bagels that we have. So we have 4 blueberry, 6 raisin, and 2 plain. So that should be 4 plus 6 plus 2, which is how many? 12. So we have 12 total bagels. So now we need to look at how many raisin bagels are we choosing from. So how many raisin bagels do we have? 6. What's wrong with 6 over 12? Right, it needs to be simplified. And what can we divide both of them by? 6. So 6 divided by 6 is what? 1. 12 divided by 6 is what? 2. So the probability of choosing a raisin bagel is 1 over 2. So we have our first event out of the way. Now, what is our second event going to be? Choosing a plain bagel after choosing a raisin bagel. So we need to find the probability of plain after raisin. So we already chose raisin, so we took that one away and we didn't put it back. So what is our total number of bagels going to be now? 11, because we had 12 and we took one away, so now we have 11. So how many plain bagels are we choosing from? 2. We started with 2 plain bagels, so we have 2 to choose from. Can 2 over 11 be simplified? No, it cannot. So the probability of choosing a plain bagel after a raisin bagel is 2 over 11. But we want to find the total probability of these two. So the probability of raisin and then the probability of plain after raisin. So what do I need to do with these two probabilities? Multiply them. So we're going to have 1/2 times 2 over 11. We're multiplying fractions, so we need to go straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So what's 1 times 2? 2. 2 times 11? 22. What's wrong with 2 over 22? It needs to be simplified. So what number can we divide them both by? 2. So what's 2 divided by 2? 1. And what's 22 divided by 2? 11. So our total probability of choosing a raisin and then a plain bagel is 1 over 11. All right, on to our last example. So we want to find the probability of choosing 2 plain bagels in a row. So what is our first event going to be? Probability of choosing a plain bagel. So go ahead and find the probability of choosing the first plain bagel on your own. All right, let's see how you did. So what was our total number of bagels that I'm going to put on the bottom? 12. And what was the total number of plain bagels we got to choose from? So the number of plain bagels. 2. We had 2 plain bagels. But 2 over 12 can be simplified if we divide them both by 2. So what's 2 divided by 2? 1. And what's 12 divided by 2? 6. So the probability of choosing the first plain bagel is 1 over 6. But now we need to find the probability of choosing a second plain bagel. So what number am I going to put on bottom? Our total number of bagels that we have left now after we've already chosen a plain bagel is going to be 11. So we had 12, we took 1 away, so now we have 11. And we also need to do the same with our plain bagels. So we had 2, but we took 1 away and didn't put it back. So how many plain bagels do we have left? 1. Can 1 over 11 be simplified? No. So our second outcome is going to be 1 over 11. Now what do I need to do with my 2 probabilities? Multiply them together. So we're going to have 1 over 6 times 1 over 11. So how do we multiply fractions? Straight across the top and straight across the bottom. So on top I have 1 times 1. It'll give me 1. On the bottom I have 6 times 11. It'll be 66. So the probability of choosing 2 plain bagels in a row is 1 over 66. So we have to remember when we're looking at independent and dependent events that we want to check if one event is affecting the other event, and then if it doesn't affect it, we choose the equation for probability of independent events, and if one does affect the other one, we want to choose the equation for the probability of dependent events. Good job today, mathematicians.